Quay greetings. Welcome to a short lunch break video. And feathers up as we see here at the JOB. Yeah. So, I'm going to try to jump into it. This is the first draft of a letter to public officials that I want to share. Now, mind you, I have already sent letters to the governor. I sent letters to the senator for my area, and I sent letters to a local councilwoman. So my notices are out there, and we will get to those. I may do each one just to give you an idea of what I said. Now, this one, the governor is first on the list, okay? So the people that would get this one that I'm about to read to you are basically people that are under the governor. The governor is the highest. And when I looked on the list I printed out from the internet, it confirmed that, first is the governor, and then under the governor is the assistant governor, and it goes down from there. But my intention is to notify everyone. I just feel like my heart will be at ease, my soul will be at ease, knowing that everyone in what they are calling New York has been notified. And it's just, it's just one of those things, y'all. One of those things. I told you, gods, they gave me away with my writing. And I realize now it's probably, I see what it was for. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I see what it was for. And they say the pen is mightier than the sword. Again, we are not into any kind of bloodshed. We are peaceful Indians. So without further ado, now this is the first draft. I may change it, but I just still want to get it out there. A general feel. Okay. So here we go. I write. It's very plain. There's nothing fancy. I just did regular letter style. I didn't do, again, when you're a sovereign, you write just whatever you write is good enough. It doesn't have to be any format, y'all. It has to say what you want to say and mean what you say. Okay. And, okay. Dear public official, I thank you kindly in advance for taking the time to see my note. My name is Anthony. I write you in a peaceful, civil manner in hope of asserting my standing on the land as an American Indian. I write also because it is my hope to explain that unlike Native Americans or federally recognized Indians or Indian tribes, I am an Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 American Indian. Due to the Indian Not Taxed Clause, the Commerce Clause at Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 should not be seen or used as a means to deny my Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 precedent. And I underlined and bolded the word precedent. I am first mentioned in the Constitution as a sovereign. Why? Because that is a fact of life. It is not an amendment. It is a fact. At the first formulated document that gave this United States this position, okay? At the gate, they knew who we were, is what I'm trying to say, okay? No flip-flopping on that. No flip-flopping, okay? So So I say Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, which is the Commerce Clause, should not be seen or used as a means to deny my Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 precedent standing on the land. Okay, so I want to say something right now. They are saying that we are sovereigns. In one reading that we read, it said we are the third sovereign, okay? What we are doing as American Indians waking up, we are saying, you're right, I am a sovereign. So going with that definition of what a sovereign is and how sovereign is used, and definitely how you use it on us, you are not to dominate us. So when I tell you that the Commerce Clause should not be used, my voice has weight as a sovereign. Now, of course, the corporation is going to want to come back and probably say something about, well, they won't admit that the doctrine of discovery is what they're using against us. So then they will rely on the Commerce Clause, and then they might come at you with some cases and something that the Supreme Court did or a legislator or some crap like that. That is all null and void. In your sovereign capacity, you can correct these other sovereigns, and you just got to know it. This is not in some kind of defiance. This is standing on business. This is standing on the truth of the matter without having someone misinterpret or redefine words like sovereign to do what they want to do, okay? The fact that it was done so undercovered, it shows you. The fact that this is all so covert. It wasn't done in the open, y'all. This was word spells and using words in certain ways. So you know you're wrong. So let's continue. And although I am currently not in an Indian tribe, and although I am currently not in an Indian tribe, I must and do retain my sovereign right to form Indian not taxed tribes, if I so choose, freely and unhindered on the land of my ancestors, unhindered and without need of U.S. approval. Okay? Yeah. We are just claiming what is rightfully our birthright. There's nothing. There's no legitimate argument against that, y'all. This is something, Native Americans can't do this, okay? No one else can. And the civilized tribes have given up their right to do that. Okay? I wanted to speak a little bit on that after we finish reading, okay? So, I should like to assert that this constitutional Indian stands outside of the United States government, but is owed a peaceful, unmolested, non-combative existence on the land. Okay, it's my land. Although the United States holds no jurisdiction over Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 Indians, I reserve my birthright to live freely and to travel freely in the United States unhindered. As I am a peaceful man of the land, I will not be seeking any confrontations with any public servants, police, military, or officials of the United States. I have enclosed a few items in full or excerpts for your review and to prove my sovereign standing as an American so-called Indian not taxed. Now, I saw a video recently where the Indian says something about we're not standing on sovereignty. And it's not that I don't, it's not that I disagree with that. But I'm saying at this point, when you're standing on the fact that you are not something that is under the United States. That is the whole point. You could call it something else. I forgot what the Indian said. She would, what'd she say? It was a good one. I'm going to have to maybe put it in the comment section, but it seems like I have come across an Indian that doesn't want to use the word sovereignty. What I would say to that is there's a lot of words we're using and you could technically say that we shouldn't use them, so I don't know if it's as harmful as the Indian was saying. It was just the thing is, when you're communicating to the United States, you don't have to explain too much. They know. The day of the word spell is over. Once we know the game, there's only so much you can do with these words because we know the clues, okay? The clues, one of the main clues is when you divert from the specific word of a contract. If there's Indians in a constitution, there better be Indians in the land. Because you will know if they start calling you black, they have just voided the part that refers to Indians and they made you into something else. So that is the basic way the word spells work. It's just using a whole different word and act like that don't mean nothing. We still know that there's Indians here. You just legally genocided me. So the day of the word game, it lasted a good long time, but Indians were never supposed to be kept under that bullshit. We are way too original of a people to fall for new people shenanigans. And I'm calling the Moors new people. Why? Because everything they want to do is new. They want to make everything new, right? Well, newbie, your day is over. And you know it is. All you can do is lie some more. And you're very good at that. It won't work. Okay, so now the documents that I'm closing with this letter, I will have to maybe do another video on those, because I have my public legal notice. I'm telling them what I'm enclosing with this letter, and that's what I will enclose with this letter. I have my public legal notice. I have my article on the paper genocide, and my favorite one is the one from I Love Ancestry, as you may know. I have the quotes from Verrazano describing what Indians in the Roanoke, where my Indians are from. Yeah. So I have Verrazano's description, okay? And this is pre-United States, okay? Showing this government that I existed before you existed. There's no way you have jurisdiction over me. And if you're calling on conquest, the doctrine of discovery has been repudiated, okay? Oh, speaking of which, I have that document as well, the repudiation, yes. I have the American Indian Sovereignty article by Constitutional Rights Foundation. We talked about that in the last video. That's the article where they break down what Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, the Indian Not Tax Clause, what it really is saying. It's saying that we were never considered to be part of the United States. We were not citizens. We were not citizens, okay? So I also have the Senators article, the article with the Senators, when they are talking about the 14th Amendment and discussing whether Indians, whether they should include the Indian Not Tax Clause. And we deduce that they really didn't have to include that. They didn't have to include our Indian Not Tax Clause in a discussion on citizenship. Because like we read, Mr. Hendricks told us, the Indian Not Tax clause had nothing to do with citizenship. So when you go in to make a 14th Amendment, to make 14th Amendment citizens, you didn't need to mention American Indians. We already had our standing. It's just that you're doing a whole tap dance around our sovereign standing. Okay? Let's make sure our feathers is up like neat be. Okay. So we also, the senators. We also are including something from the Census Bureau in my package. I will show this all to you. And we did videos on these things, so they shouldn't be too foreign to you. The condition of Indians. Now, this article from the Census Bureau, why I'm including it with my package to the public officials, is because I want them to understand that although they play hopscotch with Indian tribes, trying to say that Indian tribes are just the same as Indians not taxed. No, they're not. No, they're not. It's you again trying to lump everything together so you can erase all of the things under one banner, under your jurisdiction. Now, this census article, in one sentence, it dispelled that nonsense. This census article says, the Indians not taxed were scattered Indians who were not part of Indian tribes. So what are you finding with this slimy, grimy system? Always mixing apples and oranges, right? They're trying to say Indians not taxed referred to Indian tribes. No, it didn't. When you say Indian tribes in the Constitution, you're talking about Indian tribes. When you say Indians not taxed, you are not talking about Indian tribes anymore because you would call them Indian tribes. This is the whole game, the word game. That's how it works, y'all. So they want to believe, they're trying to put them together, Indians not taxed and Indian tribes, because what they're hoping to do is pull us all into commerce. They tried to use commerce to take away the Indian not taxed standing. Okay? So that's why I'm including this article, because they have to know, no, do not say, but you're regulated in commerce as an Indian tribe. No, I'm not. I'm not an Indian tribe. I'm an Indian not taxed. But if I want to create a tribe, trust and believe, they will not fall under your jurisdiction because I'm an Indian not taxed. If I start out sovereign, and a bunch of us Indians started out sovereign, why the hell should we lose our sovereignty so you can dominate us in commerce using our resources? That's a way of cutting you off from your natural resources, Indians. And the only way for you to survive as a people is to have access to your natural resources. You can't have a foreigner who has proven that they really don't have your best interest. Time and time again, they've proven this. Are we saying something against the government? No, we're not. We're just stating a fact. If you need a Black Lives Matter in a country that does not recognize blacks to begin with, and no government official is saying, wait a minute, we don't have blacks. We have Indians and free persons per the Constitution. Then that means they are not holding your best interest in high regard whatsoever. The games have to stop, y'all. This is not about violence. This is peaceful, but it is passionate as I don't know what, because it's let's just continue. So yes, I have the conditions of Indians not taxed that proves that Indians not taxed are not the same as Indian tribes. Okay. Then we have, lastly but not leastly, the doctrine of discovery, the grand dame of documents, okay? Because the doctrine of discovery is what started all of this bull crap. It's what started all this bull crap. So then I continue. These are just a few sources with yellow highlights that prove the true standing of American Indians and the original race of the Indians at the time the Constitution was written, that distinguishes Indians from Native Americans. If I may, specifically, I seek to have my home and the land it is on removed from taxing or tax assessment and removed from any tax lien sales, as I did inform the Department of Finance and the Department of Environmental Protection prior to their listing my home on their tax lien list. I also seek to avoid the legal ties of any federal or state documents I may have to use for convenience at times, even though they do not obligate me to the United States. So what I'm trying to say, and again, this is a draft, so I might change it. I'm just saying that though I may have some documents, they are void in terms of, though I may have federal, state, whatever, something, they are to be considered void. They do not make me subject to you. That's another thing the system does. They use their documents to pull jurisdiction. They are so obsessed with pulling jurisdiction that you know they don't have it. That's the sad part. You wouldn't have to use every little inconsequential thing to try to pull jurisdiction. Getting a federal ID for an Indian, it doesn't mean that that Indian is a citizen, and he should not be considered taxable because he's walking around with some document that a shiesty corporation is using to ignore the damn Constitution. All this is conquest, y'all. It has nothing to do with law. And I get a little tired of our Indians being so obsessed with law. Like, oh, we got to go by the law. This is not law. This is hopscotching whenever you need to pull jurisdiction over a sovereign people. They're not going by the law, y'all. We discussed this. What they're doing is relying on the doctrine of discovery and then making laws that go against their sovereignty. That's the part that they're not telling you. They're not telling you that, when it comes to you Indians, we go off the books. We don't go by the Constitution. We don't go by state laws. We don't go by none of that. We go straight to the doctrine of discovery. That is what those 3 foundational John Marshall cases did. That's what they did. Okay, so I also seek to avoid the legal ties of any federal or state documents I may have to use for convenience until I create my own ID and Indians gather enough that they can start to formulate their own government. Yeah. You don't have to. Rome, as they say, was not built in a day. Your government doesn't have to be built in a day. You take it one step at a time. You deal with the issues as they arrive. But the one thing you must know is that you are not part of this United States. You don't owe them anything. The debts that they incur, they actually owe to American Indians. Yes. You never paid us. If we go by the Constitution, we never even got to be involved in commerce the way commerce is supposed to be defined. Not by some, everything you do is commerce. No, that's not what it was in the beginning. In the beginning, Indians were trading furs and pelts at that time, they were trading them for guns because they were trying to fight off these motherfuckers, okay? So it wasn't about one entity dominating another sovereign people. It wasn't that. That's not commerce. That's not what commerce is. But again, this is what this government they redefine commerce. They redefine sovereignty. They redefine commerce. They redid Indians. They're doing a lot, y'all. They're doing too much, y'all. It has to stop. So one thing at a time. When we formula, and I have to insert this right here because it was given to me crystal clear. And it's like the ancestors said, just say it. You're talking all around it, just say it. So I'm going to just say it. Civilized Indians Indians that are in the Cherokee Nation, the 5 civilized tribes, the Iroquois Confederacy, they have nothing to do with what real Indians have to do. This kind of thing, writing your officials, they can't do it. They can't do it because they're already in bed with the U.S. and their job at this point is to just keep or try to pull us back into the federal government. So Indians, you've got to understand, you are a new entity because you're going by the intention of the Constitution. What I mean by that is that Constitution, the reason why it's saying we're not taxed is because those founding fathers, those Negropean founding fathers knew they had to put that there in order to even try to take over this land. They had to at least say that we're not part of it. They knew, though, that they were going to make us part of it. That's why I know we didn't design this system. We were thrown a bone, y'all, and that bone was to cover their ass, but they had another plan. Now, the difference between an Indian like me and some of you that are watching and commercial Indians or federal Indians, federally recognized Indians, incorporated 501c3 Indians, Indians in the civilized tribes and the Iroquois Confederacy and all of that. The difference between them and Indians that are awakening is that they can never deny what this government has done. They have to go with it. They can't do what we're doing because they know who they are and they're choosing a sort of, what they got, y'all, was preferential treatment, but it wasn't the top treatment because they're still not sovereign. I think what the corporation, the only thing the corporation can give to an Indian who has compromised their birthright and sold their birthright is some level in commerce. That's all they can give. And it's going to be limited. It's going to be money-based. It's going to be benefits and privileges based. It's not really going to be your birthright. You won't have decisive decision making because what the colonizer is buying, he's buying your interest. When he buys your birthright, he's buying your voice. He is going to be your voice. That is what the civilized tribes and the Iroquois Confederacy, every 501c3, everything that now exists masquerading as birthright Indians, they are highly compromised. They can't even speak what we're speaking right now. It would go against the deal that they made. What they're doing, as we said before, is trying to hinder Indians in making moves like this, writing to your public officials, telling them that you are not one of these other Indians that they are in bed with, but I am still owed my birthright. And that's a sad day for civilized Indians, but they made their bed, and unfortunately, they have to lie in it. The more I think about it, this thing with Mali is serious. Like I sort of talk around it like it's just something that pisses me off, but it's serious because, as we said before, how can you say you're an Indian when you have half of the Indians in your family saying that you originate in Mali? So this is just one of those things that sort of gets lost. You can't claim Mali as an American Indian. But if you have someone in your family who is, please know that he's pulling you off your land and he's getting you to be at his level of domination, which is a lower level than a birthright level. So the more, for him to come into your land, I'm talking about black Moors, Negropeans, the architect, the one who supplied us with Caucasians and Asians and all the other races. They admit that. When someone tells you what they did, believe them. So, the Negropeans, they know that for them to claim your birthright, you can't claim it. So they're going to convince you that you are them, but they are not birthright Indians. That's why Indians do not want to be Moors. I don't care how glamorous it looks. I don't care how civilized they appear. I don't care that you feel like, they had buildings and they say we had teepees. What were those buildings? Whose land was the buildings built on, though? Whose land was the teepees built on? That's the point. That's the point. Do not sweat the small stuff. I never get offended when they try to describe us as savages. That does not faze me whatsoever. Why? Because I know the value of my birthright. I don't have to be fancy to own my land, y'all. Are you kidding? And yet we have a new breed of Indians that they're offended. Why? You have somebody that wants what you have. They're coveting your belongings. So now, what is more important? The way you're dressed or who's controlling your land? You could be dressed to the nines and be a slave like we are right now because we don't have our birthright. So we have the Moors holding our birthright away from us at bay so that they can enjoy having no boss while they assume boss position. Always trying to say we're one and the same, y'all. That is a huge red flag. Back when Columbus was here, they weren't saying we were the same. At the time of the Sundry Act, or was that the Peace of Friendship thing, when many of our Indians were being treated as Negroes because they weren't under the Sultan, the Moors didn't care about that, right? So what's the message? The message is, if you don't identify as a Moor, we don't see you. So then you're not my brother. My brother sees me. My brothers see me. They respect me enough to see me. If you're my brother, but you only see me when I come to you under your requirements, like I can't be my own person, I have to change my name and become a Bay or an L, you're not my brother. You're proving that. If you were my brother, I wouldn't have to change my name because I'd be your brother. I have to change my name and then we'd be you. You are the farthest thing from a brother, and y'all don't even see that. But hey, we know how mental programming works. It's a religion, y'all. They're just as brainwashed as any other people in any other religion. But they got some kind of nationalistic thing going on, yet don't want to stay in their nation. So, yeah, all your documents, federal and state, they do not obligate me to your system. They don't mean to me what they mean to actual citizens. They're just something that you made sure were the only thing available. Because while you're shooting down tribes, how the hell can Indians have a government if they can't even have a tribe? So you gave us the very least. You said individual Indians not taxed, standing in a state all by themselves with no government structure, they're okay. But we weren't okay because you even took that away from us. You are despicable. You are truly despicable. Truly. Truly. It is so wrong what they have done to American Indians. And this is a way of life. for them. So that means you're crooked and your straight and narrow is crooked. You don't know what it is to deal righteously, because there is no righteousness in you when you're constantly ducking and dodging things that were basically agreed upon. But I will say this, and what I was trying to say before is, what civilized Indians agreed to doesn't mean that that's what all Indians agreed to. What we're dealing with is civilized Indians. We have to see them as a separate people. They have to be foreigners to birthright Indians. Unfortunately, I didn't want it to be that way, but as I'm learning more and more and the ancestors are giving me so much, I realize that's not my call. This is the call of the civilized tribes. They made it this way. They're the ones that made it this way, not me. So now I have to separate myself from you civilized tribes, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. When your lies don't work, what are you going to do? And I think the onus really falls on any Indians who allowed for a system to genocide Indians. Come on, somebody got to say it. Something is seriously wrong. But anyway, I done got off. Let me finish this. As a sovereign birthright American Indian on the land who is not a U.S. or state citizen, per my public declaration, I must depend on all public servants in Congress and in the U.S. continental, territorial, and municipal agencies and governments to uphold the Constitution and grant my safe existence on the land. So basically, I'm bidding them to leave me alone. Leave me alone. Then I do have more here, but that's more personal, referring them to what they call the block and lot. So I'm telling them, that's supposed to be, that's not part of, my land is not part of your system. So it's not real estate. It's not private property. That's another thing. Birthright Indians, they won't have private property. Private is just another level of commerce. What we have is ancestral birthright land. So when you get a sign to put up on your around, we're calling it property, but it's not property, on your birthright land, you're gonna specify it's not private, it's not residential, not commercial. This is birthright ancestral land. You could put American Indian birthright ancestral. That's what we live on, y'all. And although they will call our parcel of land a state, it is technically not, because most of our linguistic lands extend into many states. So it can't be limited. We don't live on reservations, but everywhere we walk, we are free. No federal or state agency should be taxing us, stopping us, like with the stop and frisk and all of that. And it would not be in their best interest to try to act like, oh, but if something tragic happens, we can't help you. Well, that's not really smart, because you still owe me, and because you have basically took ownership of every possible thing that an Indian could own. The decency would dictate that, okay, we took everything from them. How can we expect them to be able to deal, say now, God forbid, some kind of tragedy happens, and now this system wants to say, well, no, we don't have the help the Indians. They're not part of us. Oh, I don't think so. But what you owe us, that's like a no-brainer. And then, what is that a form of genocide, a new way to genocide us? Oh, you found out you're Indian, so we don't have to protect you in any kind of way? You're the one that made me so vulnerable when you broke up my tribes. So, okay, Indians, I think we're going to end it here and see if we use this video. I have so many videos I did not use for one reason or another. One video I was talking and this wad of spit flew out my mouth, and I'm like, I can't. Or, some other stuff. Yeah, I'm still very much human, or a man, okay? So thank you for watching. Again, this letter has not gone out. I'm still working on it, but I did send out letters to the governor. I sent it to, again, the senator and my local councilwoman, and they got all the documents, because I sent multiple, because I emailed all of them first, and then I sent the copies of the email, physical copies, registered mail. So at this point, I have not even got my return receipts yet, so I don't know how long that's going to take. But I'm sure they got them, because that's what I was told, that they would get it, at such and such a date. So, Indians, this is not in any way to try to, come off as arrogant. This is my life. And I really, as I said before, post-COVID, now I know my life. I have to protect my life. That's what this is. This is not, oh, look, I'm so big and bad because la 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 la. But it is normalizing it. It's talking it and making it like, this is what we got to do. And it's not that hard. The pen really is mightier than the sword. I think it was designed so that we be, again, individual Indians not taxed, and too afraid to make them. We have no choice. The fear can no longer, I cannot be held back by fear and intimidation any longer when I know that my life is at stake. So that's what I'm saying here. And right now, I'm losing, I'm having people come around, so I don't want to have all my business, because I already, have been talking loud here. So thank you for watching. And until next time, be and stay only American, quote unquote Indian. You're not a Moor. Do not claim Moor, because that's making you foreign. If nothing else, that is the reason why you can't claim a Moor, because then your standing is up for question. You got to let this government know that all I know is that I'm American Indian. Moors are the ones, they think they're me, but that doesn't mean that I think I'm them. Never claim Moor. Not when it comes to this. In light play among your friends or whatever, yeah. When it comes to a government that you're dealing with, you let them know you're 100% American Indian. Because you are. You are. Moors are North African Berbers. Again, trying to redefine what a Moor is by coming in the back door, making up some new history that people don't know about, but you got this magical, mystical history that you kept. Remember, as custodians, they're keeping certain things, right? Why? Why? Who are they keeping it from, y'all? Who do you think they're keeping it from? When white people have a white status, they don't need, history is already favoring them. So who do you think Moors are hiding history from? Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. So when they come out with some new shit that makes you question who you are, know that that is the whole point. The custodians are keeping information from who they call their brother. They're keeping that information from us. That's how they put us to sleep. They said they put us to sleep in order to introduce the other races. Yeah. You got to understand, everybody that's smiling in your face is not your friend, American. And it's that one that's doing the most talking and going to talk about law, but ain't trying to tell you how to get from out of the jurisdiction you ain't supposed to be in when the Constitution says it. So how do you Moors interpret the law and not know what Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 means? What took you so long to break that one down? Because you ain't trying to have us be Indians not taxed, because you're not, and you'll never be. Only an Indian can give you that. And you hate that we have that kind of pull. You had it in Spain and Morocco, right? If you're my brother, how come you don't want to give me some shine on my land? You don't know what I want to say right now, but it's a curse. It's a curse word. I'm disgusted. Dare you call yourself my brother and deny me my promise? Dare you? Go home. Go home. If you want something that American Indians have, unfortunately, you have to do like everybody else, and you're going to have to pay. It's not for free. That's another thing the Moor is trying to do, trying to get something for free. Because he feels because he looks like you, he shouldn't have to pay like everybody else. Oh, yes, the fuck you do. In fact, you should pay more because you know better. I don't advocate violence. But when I know that I have an enemy grinning in my face, I will talk like this. And there's nothing that can be done about that. This is the ancestors revealing to me the ones that cannot be trusted. Thank you again.